G'day and welcome to Aussievision. I'm Kyriakos, and today with us we have Ted,
Hello.
and we'll be talking about Portugal and their entry for Eurovision 2022, Saudade, Saudade by
And
Maro.
a round of applause.
Thank you. I probably butchered that, but
Well
thank
done.
you. Now, Ted, can you tell us a little bit about Maro?
It would be my pleasure. So I covered Festival de Cancel for Aussievision this year, and Maro quickly leapt out to me as one of the most interesting people in it. She's from Lisbon, but she spent several years abroad in the States. She studied at the Berklee College of Music, along with what seemingly half the artists at Eurovision this year. And she, as an artist, is very committed to like group work, and she's very interested in collaboration. So while she was in the States, she did a lot of interesting collaborative projects, both with her fellow students and also with some pretty cool like American artists. She toured with some people around the States. I think Bastille, like the British band, was one of them I remember finding. And then COVID happened. She's moved back to Lisbon, and she decided to enter a Festival de Cancel as a way of expressing her music.
Now, we're going to be looking today at the jury and televote appeal of the song. Now, we got the members of the Aussievision team to give a score out of 10, what they think the jury and televote appeal is, and we tallied up the votes. Now, the average score out of 10 for the jury appeal for Portugal from the Aussievision team is 7.86. Now, Ted, that's actually quite high. The team see Portugal as getting the green light from the jury. What are your thoughts?
So my first worry is that, and I include myself in this, fans as a general rule tend to overrate Portugal a little bit. Like, I think fans love that sort of like regionally specific, slightly indie stuff showing up at Eurovision. And so like Conan Osiris, like Claudia Pasquale, like all those people, everyone was like, they're going to do great. We love them. They're so cool. And then they flopped. Like, so that is a caveat that's worth setting out at the start. However, I think what is notable about this entry is that if you look at the Portuguese charts, this has been like dominating. Like, this song has done incredibly well. It's very popular with the public in Portugal, and it won both the televote and the jury in its national final. That's something you've got to watch out for. I think this isn't a Black Mamba where like they won on a technicality. This was a very popular song in its national market, and I think we should watch out for that. What leaps out to me is that the production is both very like modern, but also quite creative. There's some really unusual choices there where she plays even with like some of the instrumentation goes slightly out of tune in places and like goes slightly fuzzy in places as a way of, it's almost just showing off a little bit. So yes, it's a very laid back song. Yes, it could easily get lost, but I think if you're a music professional, there's enough here to like make you go, ooh, that's cool, that's interesting. And I think this is going to do quite well with the juries, but I don't rule it out flopping because Portugal does sometimes do that.
You gave some really good points there, because I totally agree with you. Because I first saw when I first saw the score, I was like, we got it quite high, but I would love to see this do really well personally as well. It's a very world music styled song, if I want to simplify the genre a lot.
Yeah, a bit.
But I also think it's in the right semi-final. If it was in semi-final 2, I think it would be a different story with the juries. But in semi-final 1, I
actually don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
I think I disagree with that. I think in semi-final 1, she's very much up. People are going on about all the male ballads in semi-final 2. I'm much more worried about like Stein and Amanda Tenfield and Maro and like Rosa Lynn and all those people. Like, there's a lot of gals with guitars, and I worry that that's going to be her downfall. I almost wish that she was just up against Cornelia Jacobs and no one else in semi-final 2.
Okay, now it's time for the televote appeal. The average score out of 10 for the televote appeal for Portugal from the Aussievision team is...
This is going to be high, is it?
5.79.
Oh, that's pleasantly okay.
Now, that's a lot lower than the jury appeal score. Ted, what do you think?
Okay, so again, I think I've said this like a million times at this point. Televoters don't hate ballads, but I do worry a little bit that this might get lost, and then it's a little bit too like Indian, and it's a little bit too much of like a musician's like song to appeal to just a grandma sitting at home in like Poland somewhere. So I think it's nothing to do with the song. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just not necessarily going to get remembered. At the same time, however, and I will speak up in defense of this a little bit, like, once again, the Portuguese public really went for this. And like Festival de Canção had some very sort of memorable, like out there entries this year. And yet it was the quiet sort of indie ballad that did really well. So like we have evidence that this can stand out in a lineup. It's just a question of whether it's going to stand out in the specific lineup where it is. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got the same worry because I in my notes I've got that's 10th in the running order, but it's straight after
Who's it beside? Sorry.
Yeah, so it's 10th in the running order, straight after Moldova, but then after that you've got after Portugal you've got Croatia's Guilty Pleasure, and then Denmark's The Show, and it's very same, and I'm really afraid it's going to get lost in the middle there. I also have here that I think you said it before, that since Portugal's win, they've actually had a bit of a rocky journey through Eurovision, and they didn't qualify for the grand final in 2019. 2018 they came last in the grand final. They didn't qualify for the grand final in 2019. Then 2021, the Black Mamba kind of redeemed Portugal and even got a 5th spot with the Televote in their semi-final. So
yeah,
I know, very different songs. Now, Ted, how do we think Portugal is going to go with in the semi-final? Do you think they'll qualify? And if you do think they'll qualify, where do you think they'll land in the grand final?
I want them to qualify. Do I think they will qualify? Yes, I have them in the 10 I think that will go through. But if it happens, it's going to be 9th or 10th place, I think. Not because there's anything wrong with it, not because it's bad, just because I think there are a couple of very eye-catching numbers in a similar vein to this that are going to suck up the votes. I think the best thing that could happen to this would be for Croatia to show up with her like weird breakdancing dude and sort of look a bit weird, and like Rosalind to turn up with like a flying house that sort of collapses on the stage, something, so that Maro by comparison looks amazing and simple and wonderful. And I think she's solidly through in that case.
And the grand final?
And the grand final, I think everything I just said, but double it. Because suddenly you have the Cornelia factor as well. And I think that if she gets through, she'll probably get quite a good jury score. And it's screaming to me like quite a good jury score and then about 15 televote points, which will land her in about maybe 15th.
Okay. Well, I have also qualifying. I agree with your points there too. I'm doing lots of agreeing today with you. But I have a sitting, if she makes it to the grand final, I have a sitting 15th to 20th spot. I really hope it does even better than that, but that's where I kind of see it in the mix of things as well. Well, there we have it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ted, for the chat about Portugal this year. And we'll have to wait and see how Maro goes in semi-final 1 in Turin on May 10th. And that's the morning of May 11th for us Aussies. Catch you later.